Hello traders, today is Friday, December 6, 2024. Just as per usual, want to make sure to let you know that this is not financial advice. This content is for educational purposes only. Make sure to do your own due diligence before you decide to invest your capital into any type of, in this case, stocks. Let's start with Apple. And, still looking strong. I would love to see, as I was saying yesterday, a pullback towards 237 at that point. If we actually retest and continue going up, that would be a fantastic opportunity. Again, looks a little bit extended on the MACD and the TSI. To be honest, it's already oversold on the RSI, yet that's not, that doesn't really sometimes indicate that the move in, is going to continue. In this case, a move to the upside. But anyways, let's go to the weekly chart and let's see how this looks. Now, we can get rid of this trend line and look how beautiful this looks. You have this trend line right here, and then you have this move right here. And that also can be an indication that this move might actually continue. We'll see how this behaves throughout next week. It's been a very, very strong week for the Magnificent Seven. And we might get a continuation, but again, I think I would love to see a little bit of a break to the downside. Let me see if I can, yeah, a continuation to the downside, and or a pullback. I shouldn't say a continuation to the downside, a pullback towards 237, and maybe at that point we might get another opportunity. It would be beautiful if we go down towards 230 though. But I don't know. The market right now seems to be strong, especially in this type of names. Let's move on to the next ticker that I want to look at, and that is ASTS. And let me take a note right here really quick. Pretty good day, almost 12.5% for the day. That's not bad, but the reason why I'm addressing this is because we're still in range. We have been in this range basically since the end of September, let's say since this day, September 23rd. And we have been between key levels when 21.3 and give or take 28.1, or if you want to argue because of these weeks right here, 31. So yeah, between 21 and 31, let's put it that way. Now you're mounting the 35 SMA, which I wouldn't be celebrating anything right now. We have mounted this indicator quite a few times in this range right here. But I think if we break with momentum 27 or 28 and we hit 31, we might actually have something special here. Now, I would keep a close eye on this name. It's a volatile name. It's a risky name to invest, especially if you're trading options. But it could also give you a very, very good returns. MACD and TSI are neutral. It's not a bad thing in this case. And the RSI is already pointing up. Yet you also keep in mind you had a day, a 12% or almost 13% day. But anyways, not a bad looking candle. This support level is proving to be pretty strong. It was resistance at one point, and now this is really holding pretty in a very solid way. Now we'll see how we move on this resistance level at 27.8 and at 31, and also let's see how we behave on the 35 SMA. Let's move on to the next name, and that is the next ticker right under it, and that is AVGO. Well, I mentioned AVGO yesterday. Today it was up 5.3%. Now, I didn't get to trade most of the day today because I was super busy, but I was trading Meta early in the day, and I was pretty happy with how things worked out for me. But anyways, one of the things that I said yesterday on the video was, and we had to mount this level and we had to mount the 35 SMA. That has been achieved today with very, very strong momentum. So we went over 173.5, let's say, and now we are right on this level right here, where you have very low liquidity going into this all-time high area right here. If we break this thing is going to move strong. I think semis might give us some Christmas gifts coming up next week. NVIDIA, which I'm going to mention later, had I would say, a little bit of a weak day, but it's coming into resistance. But let's focus on AVGO. I love the fact that we mounted the 35 SMA. I love how we went over resistance with so much momentum. This is actually playing the drawing that I made I think a week ago or so. I was somewhere around here when I drew this thing. So that was by the end of November. But anyways, this is not looking bad at all. We'll see how we behave here towards next week and see how much momentum we have. Out of curiosity, I just want to take a look at the 5-minute. Beautiful. Look at this thing. It actually went up the whole time and then got flat. Sellers had nothing going on AVGO today. Very nice. MACD and TSI are looking really good. This divergence right here coming into breaking the signal line is something that you really want to see going on. Beautiful day today. We'll see if there's continuation next week. Keep in mind, you're mounting your support level now, 173.5, and then your resistance level, which is key, is past highs at 185.5, let's call it. Now let's move on to another name that I mentioned yesterday, I believe. I'll take a look at my notes, but where are you? Yeah, and that is CCJ. And let me take another note because this is in my focus list. And when I have it on my focus list, it's because I'm probably going to enter it. So yeah, I mentioned this yesterday. And one of the things that I was saying was the formation that we have here, we're about to break resistance. That's what I said yesterday. And now today we actually had a little of a run. I would guess in the beginning, I didn't see this ticker up until now, but in the beginning of the day, we probably had run. Let's take a look at the 5. Yeah, you did on the first 2 candles, and then sellers came and you closed right under support. So now you have resistance again. This is, I mean, to be honest, this is not the candle you want to see, maybe, but you are trending up. You have this hammer right here. You might actually have a continuation to the upside, and that's why I'm keeping this in my focus list for Monday. I have only 3 names on my focus list on Monday, and that is CCJ, Microsoft, and SMH. That's it. I'm not mentioning Microsoft today because I did yesterday, and it's continued to run. I just want to see Microsoft going back into support. But anyways, this is not looking bad at all. This candle can, maybe you can argue that sellers came in and buyers couldn't actually defend that area, but you are right on resistance. Like, I think we're probably gonna break this next week. You're gonna enter price discovery here, so there's probably a good opportunity to enter into Cameco CCJ. Now let's take a look at another name that I'm just found. Well, it's not like I just found, but I just was looking at it and I like it, and that is EA, Electronic Arts. Some of you, if you're gamers, you're very familiar with this name. It had a pretty decent run, to be honest, all the way up here. You came out of this consolidation here. Let's put so you have a better visual. You had this consolidation area right here. You can actually go all the way back here, and then you end up moving up very strongly. Now, as a warning, you have very low liquidity between 162 and 147. Keep that in mind. But you're coiling up here again, and that's the type of setup that I like. I'm just gonna keep an eye on this. I don't have any plans to enter this unless there's momentum coming into breaking resistance or we retest the support level. If we retest, there's no breaking here, I might actually try to anticipate the move to the upside. Now, it's a little bit extended on the MACD and the TSI. The MACD and the TSI are also telling you that the strength is fading away. So for that reason, I think it's not a good idea to try to anticipate anything yet. You have to see what is the behavior that is going to happen between these two areas, between resistance and support. And then after that, then you can make a decision. But just keep this name in mind. Is something that, or a name that can actually give us, some special setup. We'll see what happens next week. Now let's move on to Enphase. And I've been mentioning this again. Yesterday I mentioned this again. And since basically after earnings, I spoke about this. Now we had the election. Now we got into support at 50 or 60. And it's having a hard time breaking resistance, which in my opinion is fine. The 35 SMA is also a resistance level in this case for Enphase. And it would be fantastic if we go back to our 60 and then start setting up that zigzag formation that I like to see. Now, this is going to take some time, maybe. And or maybe you can argue too. Let's go to a 4-hour without this. I don't know, maybe you can argue that we are flagging, not really, not in my eyes, but let's see how this behaves. I mean, we're still in play to break this resistance level. For me personally, it would be optimal if we go down all the way to support and then we retest and go back into resistance. That would be fantastic. But again, don't be surprised if there's momentum coming back up. MACD and TSI are not looking bad, it's still looking good. And that RSI is also looking very decent. So this is one of those names that is worth keeping an eye on and revise like on the daily basis and see how it's behaving. Now let's take a look at Google. And Google is it's a little bit of a headache, I would say, but since we touched the 200 SMA, we had a very solid move towards 180. Now we're still on this support and resistance area, which is 175. And we definitely have to break this with more momentum, even though we're on top of it, next week. We'll see what happens next week. MACD and TSI are not looking bad at all, and the RSI is also looking pretty decent. 1.25% for the day. Let's take a look at the 5-minute and see how this was moving. Not bad at all. You actually had a nice move to the upside, retest 175 and then moved up, and then it got flat after or for the rest of the day with a little bit of a push to the upside towards the end of the trading session. Not bad. Again, we just need a little bit more momentum, and 180 is making more sense now. You had this nice red candle right here. Now we're coming back. We're not mounting it, which is fine, and we are still very nicely over the 35 SMA on the daily chart. Let's move on to the next name, and that is, I mentioned this yesterday as well, and that is INOD. And it's pretty much playing out the way I was hoping. One of the things that I said yesterday is that if we break this level right here, 48.3, we're probably going to see a nice move to the upside. But another thing that could have happened, and is happening today, is that we're probably going down towards support. If that is the case now, that would be fantastic, because that is actually going to give you more opportunity to see this setup with more clearly. I love the fact that this is coiling up here. I think there is opportunity. And in a similar fashion that what we have, was it Enphase? Now I'm gonna take a look. No, it's not Enphase, but it's let me see. Actually, Electronic Arts. I had to go back to my look. Take a look at the MACD on this setup and the TSI, and let's go back to INOD, and if I could find it right here. The MACD and the TSI are also pointing down, which is a bad thing, I guess, if you're thinking that this should be breaking resistance sooner than later. I would prefer if this goes down. The MACD and the TSI at that point are gonna be somewhere in this area right here and with better shape, in my opinion. So this is one of those things that you wanna give it some time to to wait for the whole setup to take shape. But again, it's one of those names that I have in a short list that I want to see how they develop. So EA, Electronic Arts, and INOD Data are have very similar setups on their charts. These names, in my opinion, need a little bit of time, but there might be a very nice opportunity here. So you have your support level at 35.15. I'm sorry, 36. Let's call it just 36. And your resistance level is at 48.3. I don't have my glasses. Again, I don't know where I put my glasses. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time looking at these little numbers right here. Anyways, let's move on and take a look at MAGS. Now, I would tell you, and I'm going to brag a little bit, I told you about this name right here. One of the things that I said is that if we break this trend line, you're flying. Now, the reason why I was bullish on this, even though you are a little bit extended and whatnot, that in this setup right here on the MACD and the TSI doesn't really matter in this case. And the reason is because Apple was strong, Amazon is strong, Meta, Microsoft. The only one that is lagging a little bit is Google, and NVIDIA a little bit as well. But anyways, you have this beautiful move right here. I wasn't playing MAGS. I didn't trade it. And the reason why is because I've been trading Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and Meta. I sold all my positions with the exception of Google today. And it's been spectacular. Like last month, or actually Thanksgiving week and this week have been super, super strong. Oh, and I forgot to mention Tesla. Tesla is also performing very nicely, and I think is probably going to hit all-time highs either by the end of the month or sometime next month. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. So anyways, and that's why I'm also not mentioning pretty much Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla in this video because, I mean, I'm mentioning MAGS. There's good opportunity here. There was beautiful setup on the technical level. And then I would say in a very obvious way, let's get rid of this line. You know, when you see a strength on the names that are part of this ETF, which is the Magnificent Seven, then it makes sense just to, I mean, you know, again, I just didn't play this because I was playing other names and I was already playing several of them. You know, I even was buying day trading Tesla. So, anyways, this setup, beautiful. Now, if you ask me what is coming next, I'm gonna tell you I have no idea. But it seems like the market still has juice to continue next week or maybe into Christmas. We might. Get some very nice Christmas stuff. Anyways, let's move on and talk about Nike. Nike, it almost gave you the setup that I was talking about yesterday. Did I? Before I say that, yes, it was the last name that I mentioned yesterday. So what I said was you have to break resistance, and you have to break the trend line. That happened today, but based upon what you see on this candle, that means that you had a run in the beginning of the day and then sellers came back in. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. You had a nice, beautiful run. That's exactly what I said. And then sellers came back in and then you end up closing right under resistance. However, this is interesting. You did close right on the 325 SMA. Very interesting. And under the 200 SMA, but you are bouncing on the 325 SMA. That is an interesting thing. One of the things that I found is that the 325 SMA is quite reliable on the 5-minute. You can see it on this day right here. It was surfing on it. You can see it when it broke here, but you can see it also to the downside. So be mindful of that. Anyways, Nike is not looking bad. Now, one of the things that is a little bit intriguing for me, and let me put Nike as name number 4 on my focus list for Monday. One of the things that are intriguing for me for Nike is that Lulu had very good earnings report. That is a good indication for Nike. Ulta, which even though it's a different sector, had a very good earnings report. And I guess where I'm trying to go with this is that these are indicators that the consumer is starting to spend money in this time, in this type of items. Let's say in this case, shoes. And but a lot of what, especially Ulta and Lulu, are seeing, and I'll take it back. What Lulu was seeing is that the international market is actually picking up as well, which is something that is also has an impact on Nike. Where I'm going with this is you have earnings coming in 2 weeks or in 10 days or so, 14 days in 2 weeks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a continuation to the upside. If we break this resistance level, which we're basically there, you're closing on top of the trend line. And if we get good earnings, I think we're going straight towards 90. This is, I'm not surprised. Like, this is a similar setup to what we had in Nike as well. Not Nike, I'm sorry, in Disney. And Disney went up very nicely. Let's go to this. No, Disney. And look at this. And Disney is also telling you that people are spending more money, right? Now, it's a different sector than Nike. We all know that. But what I'm trying to say is the consumer behavior. And so I might actually buy some May or no, actually, yeah, April or May calls for Nike and see what happens. It would be a little bit of a lotto as far as considering the fact that we have earnings in 2 weeks, but I would love to see this move. And if it gets a little bit weak, then I can sell and then jump in after earnings. But I think this that Nike might actually give us a nice surprise in the next week or so. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm super intrigued with Nike. I'm liking it, and I think I'm actually gonna buy. So I added Nike to my focus list. I have CCJ, Microsoft, SMH, and then I have. I'm surprised I'm not mentioning SMH today, but SMH, and then I have Nike. Now let's move on to NVIDIA. And one of the things that I'm liking out NVIDIA, I was trading NVIDIA on this move right here, and I got out. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, Wednesday. Well, it doesn't matter, but I got out right on this area. What I like now is you are retesting this prior resistance. So now you have the support. You're retesting the 35 SMA, which is fantastic. It was down 1.8%. AMD was down as well. AVGO, however, was up over 5% today. And I think SMH didn't have a bad day. It was kind of flat, I believe. But there might be opportunity here. And I might actually buy NVIDIA again. And if I do this time, instead of getting February calls, I would probably get April calls just to give this thing a little bit of time and then probably sell before Christmas or right after. Anyways, I like NVIDIA. At this point, it's one. We are at support at 141, and we are mounting the 35 SMA. This is a good thing. It's nothing. We'll see how this sector behaves, but I think it still has a little bit of juice. It's lagging a little bit, just a little bit, but I think we actually have a good potential to go towards 153, straight up 153. How choppy is going to get, I don't know, and that's why I would get April or May calls. Now let's move on to SoFi, and let me take a note on this. It feels like it's losing a little bit of momentum, but keep this in mind. Yesterday I mentioned a firm, and I said something very similar. It looks like some of these names are losing momentum. Yet a firm I think was up today by 5%. Yet, if you take a look at a firm's chart, it's similar in the fact that it really didn't push over that resistance level. Now, let's see if we can find any sort of support or resistance over here. You have this candle right here, but sorry, I shouldn't do this on your time. we have, I mean, this might be a little bit of, there's obviously a resistance level right here. I just have to find it later, but it seems like there is a very old resistance level around here, and it seems pretty obvious, I guess. One thing that is a little bit concerning is, but it's also a good thing, that the MACD and the TSI are losing momentum. The RSI is not. The RSI is still right on the 70 area, but I would love to see this actually coming down towards 13 or 11. I think that 2025 is going to be an outstanding year for SoFi. I just, SoFi, PayPal, some of these names, even Ally, might actually have a pretty decent year. We'll see what happens. I mean, nothing is determined yet, but anyways, I would love to see this coming down towards 13.5. That would be a nice opportunity of to buy. And again, it looks extended on the MACD and the TSI. So anyways, SoFi, I mean, long term, I think towards 2025 on 2026, I think this is still cheap, but I would love to see a pullback. I would love to see a pullback towards 11. That would be fantastic. But again, I think next week I'm just gonna sit back and take a look at how things evolve and what type of setups we get, and then after that maybe make some decisions. But anyway, SoFi is still super interesting. I'm on the bull side for SoFi for sure long term, but I would love this to actually lose more strength and go towards 13.5 or maybe even lower towards 11. Don't hate me for that. I just want to jump back in. Or actually, I haven't traded SoFi in a while, so I would love to actually get into this. And this is the last name that I want to mention today, and that is SOUN, SoundHound. And the only reason why I'm going to mention this is because I'm going to brag to you, and I told you about this name somewhere on this area right here. Go back to those videos. Let me take a look at my notes. Now it's October 23rd. And I've been paying look at this. So I have a note on, what date is this? October 24. And this is the note that I have. Retest on trend line and 325 SMA. So let's go to the 24. No, that's not the, oh, I'm sorry, and the 35 SMA. So that's my notice on this right here. Needs to break 5.5. And I also have a note that I mentioned that on 1021. So I did mention this on 1021 right here. And then again, I did put some notes on this. I was saying that you had to mount this level or stay on top of it. And then you had to mount 555. Well, surprise, surprise, today we are at 15.5. Now, in my opinion, this is very extended. Nothing that I want to trade now. This is a company that NVIDIA keeps buying shares of. So NVIDIA is one of the investors of this company. And I don't know, it had a very beautiful, nice move. I really hope one of my few followers, subscribers or listeners actually took advantage of this move. This move was 198, almost 200% since I mentioned that on this day, in which I was saying you have to mount 555 and then you are going to see a nice move or a potential for a nice move. Now, again, I think this is extended, but you never know. Some names can just keep rallying and rallying. APP, for example, is an example of that. That name hasn't stopped for a while. It's been, I think it started at $11 and now it's like, I don't know. Let's take a look at APP before I finish this video, just because I just mentioned that. So this is insane. Let's go to the weekly. And yeah, so you were $7 and you haven't stopped all the way to 400. This is insane. I don't know. Anyways, SoundHound, beautiful move. I told you back on October 24th, October 21st as well. And now we are at $15. So back then we were at 5.5. I'm trying to find this goddamn name right here. And look at this on the weekly also. Beautiful. You broke right here. So my drawing was on the weekly, not on the daily. Wow. Beautiful move. Sometimes I also tell myself, you know, I should watch my videos, go back to my videos and watch them kind of like as a journal. And I don't know, but look at this, a 200% move. Hopefully some of you actually got it, or had an opportunity going, especially, you know, you were here on the 35 SMA on the weekly, and then boom, boom, boom. All right, guys, I'll see you probably on Monday. I don't know if I'm gonna have time this week or weekend, but and that's why I wanted to make a video. Please like the video, leave comments, and subscribe to the channel. That would be fantastic. I would really appreciate it. But I will see you on Monday. Thank you. Bye bye.